Hey, Greg. I guess it's one of those games where you're down 3-1. How did you see the game sort of change for you there? I guess Billy Sharp played a big role in that game for you tonight.
Yeah, I think, well, for me, the first half, like we weren't terrible. We had some chances. We just committed some colossal errors. But I thought defensively, in our press and on our defensive side of things, we weren't, like I said, we weren't bad. And I felt like we created enough chances. They had to clear a couple off the line. We had some good looks. But we have a couple, again, colossal errors. And, you could call it an unlucky deflection, but it also comes from an error, right, that put us in the situation. But at 3-1, I felt like, yeah, as I said to the group, you keep fighting to the last play. Trust the process, keep fighting. We can get ourselves back in it. We had enough chances to score 2 goals in the first half, so there's no reason why we can't score 2 goals in the second half, but we have to be cleaner defensively. And ultimately, I think when you play these midweek games against teams on the road, you just try to build momentum. And if you can build some momentum, then you can get them a little tired, and you try to just keep building momentum. And if you can, anything can happen. You could score goals, guys commit fouls, things that happen in the second half can happen. So, yeah, to be honest, we didn't change a lot of things tactically. We didn't even talk about tactics at halftime. We shifted one player to get one guy a little bit higher up the field instead of having the 2 pivots. I asked Mark to step a little higher and kept Diego a little higher and tucked in, so that when Ricky had some freedom dropping down, we still had enough numbers ahead of the attack to get going. So, but yeah, I think again, it's just battle till the end. Things can happen, and we did. Sometimes it's simple. Sometimes it's not a complicated game. Sometimes it's just simple things. And Billy obviously played a huge role because, like I said, it's just he has a nose for being in the right place at the right time, and that's what a couple of those goals were. We had a fortunate one that they played off of their own guy, and then it falls for us, and we have an opportunity. But Billy's goals were opportunistic. They were smart. They were getting into the right places for him as a striker. But again, I thought there were some decent things inside the game. I don't think we played poorly over the course of the night. I think we just, like I said, we've got to stop putting ourselves in a hole with some of the plays and some of the mistakes that are happening.
And overall, with the live standings at one point, you guys were down. You guys were 9 points off, but now to win the game and be only 5 going into Austin, how big is that? Sort of kept you guys alive, really, in the race.
Yeah, each of these games are that right now because we're all playing each other. These points are they're transitioning from one team to the next every single match day. And if anybody wins, if you lose, you're separated immediately. And so it's tight. Picking up the 3 points obviously was massive. Maybe it was the difference in even us having a chance at this thing. Hey guys, how are you? So. The second half probably does keep us into a fighting chance in the season, now. But again, the teams that are between us and the spot we're trying to get to, we play. So if we can, like I said, I think if we can eliminate some of these moments that we're having that are costing us goals, which we've talked about a lot, why not? Because we are scoring goals now. In my opinion, we're scoring goals. So we are, and we're creating chances.
Hi, Greg. Congratulations on the win. Rob Jalam from Last Word on Sports. You've spoken a lot about mental fortitude and resiliency this year, especially after everything that's happened. For you, is this the best win for you guys this season that show off those traits? And then can you tell us about maybe why Douglas wasn't on the bench and a status on Jalen Neal as well?
Yeah. So first, I think it was the most important win of the season for sure, obviously for the reasons. Because of the timing of it and the way we came back and battled and got the points, I think it's the most important win of the season. I think the resiliency was massive. I think also hopefully the momentum we can build going into the next game. Hopefully we can utilize some of that from the second half and certainly build some confidence and momentum into the next one. Hopefully, but I think it was vital, obviously, for the table. For when you even look at the table, it just is going to feel a lot better because we have games in hand, and and we're still staying in that, or we picked up a point or two tonight, so it certainly looks better. So yeah, for me, and that reason, yes. Douglas wasn't on because Thursday last week I'd mentioned it, and he was on the bench in the last game. But we tested him out prior to the last game, and he just couldn't get the top speed. He was hitting free kicks after training and working on just some stuff on kind of his own after training, and he just that afternoon he called. He said he felt tight, and so we've been trying to manage him back, and he's kind of day to day right now, and so. The issue is, yesterday he couldn't get to the speed that he needs to play, and if you just keep trying to do it every single day, you're only going to make the process longer. We felt like if we could just give him a few days, don't know what it'll look like on Sunday, but if we could give him a few days, we think we can get him back for this final stretch. So it became just not even possible. Like, you can't have a guy out there who can't get to top speed. So unfortunately, even as talented as he is.
And Neil.
Jalen. Jalen had hernia surgery yesterday, or I think it was yesterday. Just the issue, he couldn't get beyond it. The growing, it was started off kind of growing strain, then it was the pubis, and we just couldn't get the inflammation down enough that he felt the freedom and the ability to move. And as he fatigued, it got worse, and so the next step, because he wasn't available to play, was to move the process along, and the sports hernia diagnosis came in, and sometimes you can play through that, sometimes you can't. It depends on the severity, and he wasn't free enough to play, so he had surgery, and he has the potential to get back if we for the last week or so of the season and/or any playoff thing. So he's not out for the season, but is certainly out for right now the foreseeable future.
Want to get your thoughts on the emotion of this win, just the turnaround. You walk off the field to boos at halftime, the crowd's giddy by the end. I understand their frustration, but the joy that second half brought them, I'm wondering what it also brought you.
Yeah, for me, I was, as part-time lunatic on the side, just trying to drive the guys emotionally out there as well. Again, I saw the body language at the end of the first half, and it didn't look promising for us. We were frustrated clearly for the goals that we had given up, and so immediately we just, at halftime, like I said, the discussion was about mindset. It was about our second half mentality and going forward and pushing and doing certain things cleaner and trusting, like I said, the process and what we do. And so it was a game. But look, honestly, if you've been around the league long enough, that's what these games are like at the end of a season, because the table is just so prevalent now, and people are, for us, 3 points was the primary thing, so we had to go for it. And for them, maybe they felt one was okay because they had 3, it looked like, in the bag, and then maybe one was okay. But these games at the end of the season can look like a lot of things. If you've been around long, you've seen that, because of the table, because teams have put in a long shift. There's a lot of reasons. So that's what I was telling our guys after. Like, you just have to battle to the end, because in our league at this time of year, anything can happen at any point, and you just have to try to see it out all the way.
Also want to get your thoughts on Mavinga and Raheem and just the efforts that they put forth, especially in that second half.
Yeah, I thought both of them were great. I thought, Raheem had a big task today because he was getting up and down the sideline, kind of attacking as the left-sided guy, but also having to recover and defend. So he was putting a big shift. It helped, I think, in the second half, obviously, that we have a little more possession and it's not quite as up and down and he doesn't have to do it. But I thought his desire, his fortitude to keep pushing through moments, to keep trying to get us a little bit deeper in attacks, to counter press sometimes when he was in those lower positions, to recover balls that kept them in their half. There was a lot of things that he did that kept attacks alive or got us deeper into our attacks that really gave us opportunities, created turnovers, different things. So I felt like he was excellent. I felt like he was disruptive in the right moments, but he also helped us in certain ways with the ball, obviously. Chris, I think it was a good bounce back for Chris. He had a tough one the other night, and he needed this game for himself, for his confidence, for the group. And I thought he came out and played with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and a certain level of knowing that he had to bounce back. And I thought he did a great job of that. And I think obviously his his ability to cover behind Raheem when he's high is one of Chris's special qualities because he has the pace to cover and behind certain situations, open field, things like that. No, because what I thought, and I said it to the guys on the bench, those two balls, he went hard to get to those balls, and that showed a level of aggression that I don't always see from Chris, and even in those set piece situations where he was man on a mission. Even on the set pieces, he was flying in and putting his body in harm's way, going in against the goalkeeper, trying to get to things. So I think his mentality was right, honestly, from the start.
Hey, Greg. Looking at Billy Sharp, obviously his contribution. You have Diego Fagundes, who also comes into this game. Maya Yoshida in there. You have a lot of the guys who you went and picked up, really made a difference here. How quickly have you really seen them adapt? And with all the injuries and everything that sort of plagued this team, even after you got those guys, how much have they had an effect for you?
Well, I mean, you can kind of see it. I mean, Billy has, 5 goals now in 4 appearances or something? 6 games. I mean, 3 tonight, that's huge for us. I mean, a couple of those were very cameo sort of appearances that didn't have a ton of time. So, for us and needing goals from our striker position and then supplemental goals that we are getting from Ricky and from other guys, for Diego to come in and give us, again, some of that supplemental goal scoring. It's massive. Diego knows the league. He knows what he's getting into. So for him, it's just getting a little bit accustomed to his teammates and what we're asking him to do that might be a little bit different than Austin, and working a little bit with Ricky. When Ricky's low, he's got to be inside. It's different than the partnership that he maybe had in Austin. So he's just kind of working through some of those nuances. But he's done a great job for us when called upon. And Maya I know he was kicking himself for the header that went straight up in the air, but he's been a warrior in every one of these games till the final whistle, and battling and competing, but helping to try to keep the line together and the group organized, and he's a communicator. But he's still, he and Chris are still building a relationship. He and whoever is on his right side, which it was Lucas for a number of games, and then it was Mauricio, and now it's Kelvin. So he's certainly had a variety of guys in a short period of time that he's been working with on the right side. So, again, he's got a mentality. Billy, these guys, they're veteran guys that have been around this league, and they have a mentality that they brought to our group and our locker room that has helped us. Sometimes we had a tough first half, but we certainly bounced back, and they're a big part of that. And to be fair, I thought Edwin battled tonight as well. He covers ground, and he likes to play fast and efficient, and he's still kind of getting his feet settled with our group. And he hasn't always played in a double pivot. At times he's kind of been single pivot, so he's finding some things here in this process. But I think all of these guys have certainly contributed to, and will contribute hopefully to what's an important run here the last stretch.
And then I know you mentioned about Ricky Puig. Without Douglas Costa, he shoulders a lot of the creativity for this team, especially whenever he's running through 3, 4, 5 guys in the midfield now. How big of an effort has he put in, knowing that maybe he's not 100% healthy? Yeah,
I mean, he's grinding. To be fair to Ricky, he's grinding. And so, the first half we started him off the wing a little bit just to try to minimize the amount of midfield sort of central defending that he would have to do. So we could try to clog up and still do the middle work. But he has certain superpowers, and you named him. I mean, he can pick up the ball, and he's always looking between lines. Sometimes we'd like him to play simple, but as he will say, and we talk about, he's looking to take risk, and he will play through the lines, and a lot of that's what starts some of those tacks that look good for us. And so. And build really some momentum for us. And so it's just, again, it's finding the balance of when he can stay high and hurt the opposition, and when he drops down to start attacks and get things going. But he's grinding. It's been a long season for him and for some of the guys. But he's not about to step out of this thing. And like I said, he keeps battling and keeps fighting. So we need what he brings. One of the things we talked about is without Douglas is not trying to do even more. But try to continue to choose the right moments and pick the right moments, and still be the special player that he is, but not try to overdo it more because you don't have a Douglas on the field or something like that. So I thought he put in the shift. I know he was frustrated at times, as everybody was, but he put out a shift, and especially important down the stretch.
Yep.
Hey, Greg, congrats on the win. Moving forward with 6 games left, how important is to be able to manage the games a little better, because it's not always easy to win. You guys tied against San Luis. You guys couldn't make it against LAFC. You did it tonight. But 6 games left, it's important not to be coming from behind.
It's critical, Yeah, it's critical. We actually talked today about just having a good, solid first half, and if we can even come in 0-0, 1-0, that would be great. And then, because again, what the road team, it's tough in this league is the second half builds, and if you can build some momentum and make them really work in the first half, and just we find ways to put ourselves in tough situations, and we have to do better at that, and we have to be cleaner. We talk about it, we work on it. We just have to be better, or else we're going to have a really tough run in if we can't clean some of that up. That's everybody in there knows, and we talk about it, and it's one of the things that the guys are talking amongst themselves even at halftime. They know that we've got to be cleaner in that way. I would also go as far as say is when we went to 4-3, we need to be better at how we see out the 4-3. We're up a man and we're 4-3. We need to make better decisions. We need to secure the ball. We need to win that game moving forward and controlling the game, and it ends up we have to make some plays, and that it shouldn't happen. Yeah, thanks. Yep.